What can not be good going on a mission? Hi guys, it's B. I decided to tell you what it means to go on business missions and to demystify the glamour of going on business missions. What is
Like
one
just
thing
going
that you
to
really
many
like
places.
about business meetings?
Look, one thing that doesn't stop to amaze me is you go to a large airport, a large hub like Dubai, like Qatar, and sometimes I would just take a minute, just sit down, look at people around.
Okay.
How cool is it to have all the diversity of humanity in one building? And you
That's
look
right.
around and the Indians over there, the Chinese over there, the Russians over there, the Americans over there, and everybody's at peace. Being in an airport is something very meaningful for our job, for my career,
And for our identities.
for our identity. It's one of my favorite places in the world. I
Okay.
know that there's a lot of people, that associate airports with stress and, of course, with bad feelings of saying goodbye to people.
I associate it with stories.
But there are also great stories,
Okay.
yeah, for sure.
That's one of the first advantages of a business mission. Then you go and get to meet your clients. That's so cool because at the superficial level, you obviously get a taste of the feeling of power, which can be intoxicating if you're not aware of it. You meet super senior people who have a say on the future of their countries. You're discussing interesting things about the policies of their countries. You're discussing the problem. So that's intellectually challenging. And for someone who loves this type of activity, going on a business mission there, it's a rewarding experience. Then, beyond the actual work of a business meeting, there is also the responsibility of building relationships with a client and trust. And that's where all your soft skills and emotional intelligence notably come into play. What can not be good going on a mission? Well, traveling is tiring. Yes, we travel business class, but most of the times it's because you need to sleep well before getting to the hotel, before heading directly into your first business meeting. And because it's also probably a location on a different time zone if you travel on different continents for work, then that means your brain is pretty foggy and everything you're good at takes twice the amount to get done, especially focusing. So that was one of the things I realized when I traveled business class for the second time. I realized that, yeah, you need that good sleep and that good service because you're on a work mission. And the next day, you need to be at your best condition. I was saying traveling is tiring, it's hard to focus. And then let's get into the practical part of the disadvantages. When you are away from home, you might be away, for example, I'm going to be away from home for 2 weeks. Some people are away from 1 week. Some people travel every week for 2 to 3, 4 days. And you might get out of touch with your own routine and your own life. For example, during my first business mission, I found myself a bit out of touch with who I was back home, and it was impossible for me to fit in my workout with my work because everything was so new and I find it hard to just adapt. But the following business meeting got better, and I realized how important it is to actually bring my workouts and my second part of life with me on mission so I don't get completely unfazed. And then also, you get out of touch with your friends back home. And I know it doesn't sound like much, but if you're away for 1 or 2 weekends, that means a lot of stories. You're missing on a lot of stories. And if you have FOMO, this might take a higher toll than you imagine. Of course, it shouldn't be a problem. You should be able to balance that. And your friends should also be able to, your friends should be there even when you're back. But it's another reality. It's always a compromise, right? Especially if it's something that you really enjoy doing and if it's important for your career. And this might turn into a more serious issue if you have a family or a partner, because 2 weeks away from your friends is one thing, but 2 weeks away from your partner and from your kids is a completely other reality. And I know people who have it difficult to balance going on work trips with being good partners, with being good parents. And most of the times, when one of the parents is having a very intensive work schedule that requires you to travel a lot, you need a partner to match that in terms of commitment for your kids. For many people who are traveling for work much more than I do, and to locations that are in different time zones, and they do this frequently, traveling can also turn into health issues because it plays with the internal clock. And because you're constantly on the go, you're like a hamster going through the hoops in a very unhealthy way. Sometimes. It really depends on the intensity of the agenda and also on the organization you're working for. I had colleagues who were telling me that they were literally back to back on meetings from morning till late evening, having a quick dinner and then going to sleep. That hopefully takes away a bit the glamour of business travel on its own. Overall, how do companies compensate employees for this type of negative spillovers of your work style, let's say, is with things that might seem like benefits. So, the fact that you're traveling business class at their various locations means that you're going to get those miles, which might give you free flights in time if you're collecting enough points, or you get specific rankings or specialized status for different fancy hotels. These are things that are quite new to me, but I have colleagues who have been in industries requiring a lot of business travel, and they have this platinum, gold, silver ranks in different hospitality chains or airlines. Of course, for some people, these are things that matter and things that they find very interesting and cool. Please let me know in a comment box if you find that attractive. And also, just reflecting a bit on the idea of a business mission in general. What's the point after COVID of a person traveling from point A to meet a person in point B? I reflected on it a lot. And because our first mission to a client got canceled because of some health risks, it was conducted completely online. I was really wondering, why do we still need to travel to physical locations and waste so much time traveling? And then during our second mission to the same very client, I completely understood why these business missions, physical travel, are so important still. And it all goes back to us being humans and the fundamentals of making business and the fundamentals of creating trust. Because no matter how much we can produce and we can achieve online, the relationship in the online field still remains a bit more transactional, and I find it quite hard to build trust. However, when you go there and when you meet the person, everything that's human starts. All the little tricks and tips on how to swoon that person, and how to build the trust that you need, and how to discuss issues, and how to take an issue that couldn't be solved at the table during work time, at a conversation over dinner in a more relaxed setting. All of these human experiences are translated into business making. And that's why I think it's still so important to meet your clients in person. And also, different cultures have their different approach to making business. For some cultures, it's so important to meet your partners in person before they even trust you, before they open up to you. The idea of building trust is a multi layered challenge. It takes less or more time, it involves different subtle cultural challenges. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? We're not here to judge. We're only here to observe reality and acknowledge it as a fact. At the end of the mission, overall, you get a deeper understanding of the client and of their problem. You get a deeper understanding of the world, and you get a deeper understanding of yourself in new situations. Ask your questions in the comments and share it with your friends who are going on business missions or who want to go on business missions thinking that it's all the life that they dream for. Maybe this will convince them that this is what they want, or maybe it will just tell them to chill out and not wish for this. See you guys.